Happy Sunday! You are listening to Rainbow Radio. In My Humble Opinion with Nice Guy Eddie is coming up next. My guest today is the former lead singer of the Simon Cowell boy band Worlds Apart. He's also fresh off the release of his latest solo single, Party and Play. It is my pleasure to welcome the very talented Aaron Paul. Aaron, welcome to the program.
Hey, how are you, Eddie? Thank you for having me.
Hey, I just want to let you know that despite that snappy intro, I got to let you know that the only reason I'm having you on my show is because of Link.
Oh, Link? Oh, wait. It was his bedtime. I sent him to bed. I should have woke him up. Link, get up.
Yeah, Barbara had to. She told me she told me I had to start out that way.
Barbara loves herself some Link.
so for those who aren't in on the joke, why don't we just at least give them the short version of that? Who is Link?
Link is I call him my alias. He's like he's a stuffed toy that Barbara bought me, an orangutan. Mm-hmm. And the reason is one of my old Worlds Apart music videos had an orangutan in the video.
Yeah.
It was one of Simon Cowell's brainchild ideas. And we looked at him like, you're crazy. Orangutan in our video, you serious? He said, trust me guys, this is going to be a killer hit. He played on every MTV station around the world. I said, Simon, please don't do this. Please don't do this. He goes, this will be your biggest hit ever. And he was right. What? He got the video in Paris with this, huge, big-ass orangutan.
Right.
And, obviously I'm the lead singer, so I've got to sing with this monkey,
Right. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Terrified on set. This orangutan's going to hit me or bite me or something.
Well, yeah.
And, so I'm there trying to act cool and fun with this orangutan, and I'm shitting myself.
Well, you know what? You do pull it off, because it does seem like y'all are just hanging out and...
Yeah, he was actually a doll. Actually, he was very, very friendly, strong, but very, very friendly. And I actually walked away off the set with ickies all over me. This orangutan, sucked every part of my body with his leg. So those are his orangutans. Meet Link.
Right. Okay. Yeah, Barbara said she told me to tell you she says she doesn't care about your singles, your releases, the talent or anything. The music. She wants you for the monkey. She wants you for the monkey. That's what she told me.
Yeah, I got to bring. He's been quiet lately. Actually, I got to bring him back out.
So I mean, all right. So okay, you say one of Simon Cowell's brainchilds, and I'm guessing. I know him, of course, we're, in the States, we all know him from, American Idol and whatnot. But I'm guessing that when he has an idea, he doesn't take no for an answer.
He knows his lane. Pop music. Simon is the king of pop music. He knows how to market it. He knows how to sell it. He knows what grabs people's attention. He's not trying to change the world. It's just simple, fun pop music. And that's what's made him Simon Cowell to this day. Right. And my particular project, Worlds Apart, was the catalyst for the whole American Idol concept. Mm. We were the first one, that kind of audition process that was, that eventually turned into a reality show.
Okay.
But my show was the first. He auditioned something like 10,000 boys all over the country.
Oh, no kidding.
And then hand selected each one of us to be in the group. And I was actually the last one to join. I think they realized he had picked guys who couldn't sing.
and it does help to now that surprised me you'd say that, because of course I did kind of want to ask you get the inside dirt here a little bit. The presentation that we get over here is that he seems to come off as a bit of an asshole.
Well, and it's funny because he is exactly like that as you see him,
right?
And I was around him a lot. And even if I would just hang out with him in the office just to sit and watch and learn from him.
Right.
And I would see him make grown people cry, literally on the spot. Seriously, Simon just has that way about him that just gets to people and breaks them down.
Right.
I was lucky. I never had that experience, from him. I saw it from other people, but not with me.
Yeah.
I had a fantastic relationship with him. We would ride to the studio in his Ferrari and stuff and just hang out. I had a great time. I never had an issue. Never any of that nastiness was directed at me. I think he kind of respected me.
So he's got you so terrified you won't say a bad thing about him.
No.
I'm joking.
No one's perfect, but
right.
I could just say only my experience with him. I never, witnessed that directed at me.
Right.
I saw it with other people. People shaking in their shoes.
Right. I mean, now would you? Well, I mean,
I never had that.
Right.
I didn't have that, and I spent a lot of time with him.
So, would you consider him sort of an early mentor, or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, as a young kid, being signed to a major record company, Arista Records, at 18, 19 years old, and I was, very driven, very determined to learn every aspect of the business I possibly could.
Yeah.
So even when I wasn't working or recording, I would just show up at the label, walk into his office and sit there and chill with him all day. I'd watch him, conduct business. I learned how to check mixes for the right sounds and what to turn up, what to bring down, what to take out.
Right.
That was a very valuable lesson for me.
Right.
And now with my mixes now, when I make mixes, I kind of think, well, what would Simon say?
Right.
And he knows how to sell music. Especially pop music, with the gimmicks, the angles to grab people's attention.
Right.
And I do that with my own stuff. How can I make this, visually exciting for people?
Sure.
Without being cheesy or tacky or,
Right.
So, definitely. I learned a lot from him. A lot. Okay. And I also learned, how to be direct.
Well, yeah, he doesn't. He's not subtle. He doesn't beat around the bush. That's for sure.
I mean, I'm sure he coming to America and having this success on a major TV show. They have it up a little bit more. To get his so he'd become a top dog basically.
Right.
But there is a good percentage of what you see is real.
Okay.
And also, you got to remember, the British have a way of words. We don't know what to say.
Well, I think I read a version of Hell once where they said there's a special place in Hell for both of them, where basically Simon Cowell has to listen to Gordon Ramsay sing, while Gordon Ramsay has to eat what Simon Cowell cooks.
There you go. See, that's one I could not tolerate. Him, Gordon Ramsay. We would fist fight.
Oh, okay. Right. Well, good thing you didn't go in the restaurant business, I guess.
Very, very direct, but very rude. I mean, I don't know if that's his true self or not, but I know I couldn't last 5 minutes in the room with him.
Right. So, all right. So now this take us back a second. This is what, like 1993, right?
Yep, early 90s.
Yep. And so you're recruited. There's 10,000 people auditioning, and of course you're working with a big name like Simon Cowell. And this entire time, you're in the closet.
Yep. I would say I was 18, 19 years old. And at that age, do you know who you really are?
Okay.
So I mean, yes, I was fighting, feelings and trying to block them out.
Right.
And also, I was very, 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 very dedicated to my music.
Yeah.
And, trying to get myself elevated in the music business or opening doors. So a lot of from the age of 10, when I first started singing, all my teenage years was concentrated on music.
Yeah.
Music, whether it was auditioning, whether it was rehearsing, writing songs, making costumes. I spent a lot of time doing music. So I was able to block out the actual sexuality part of me.
Okay.
And cover it with my music.
Well, but I wouldn't imagine that being in a because you guys went on tour too, right?
Yeah,
you guys did a lot of tours, so I wouldn't imagine that touring in a boy band is a very conducive place to block out your sexuality.
Well, like I said, I was so devoted and dedicated to what I did, which was singing, that the groupies and the fan attention, it was fun, but I didn't really care for that part of it.
Right.
I was more concentrating, is my voice is it going to hold up for tomorrow night's show? Let me get to bed, And I would go to my hotel room and there'd be like 20 girls standing outside my bedroom, my hotel door.
Right.
Right. But I'd say hi and just, go in and shut the door. Or actually sometimes I would just hang out with them outside just as a friend, Because they were actually more fun to hear their stories and be around them.
Sure.
But to have sex with them, that wasn't on my agenda.
Right.
It just wasn't, because obviously I wasn't into girls, but...
Right.
But that sex wasn't important to me at that time.
Yeah, well...
We also did, the gay clubs. We did many gay clubs, and they were actually the best clubs to perform at.
Oh, no kidding.
I loved it.
Okay.
But at the same time, because of my background culturally, I'm half Jamaican and I'm half British biracial.
Okay.
And I grew up on the Jamaican side was very dominant in my household because my dad was the man of the house.
Sure.
And Jamaicans have a very, very poor, or issues for homosexuals.
Right. Well, I would imagine it's related, not similar to most of Latin America, for example, just the machismo culture, if you will.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But Jamaican, is 10 times fold. I don't know if you've been around it or heard. It literally is a no-no.
Right.
No. And I remember, being at a very young age and having feelings and thoughts and stuff, and hearing my dad always comment in a very negative, angry way about it.
Right.
And my mum, she worked in the dance industry, dance, in the ballet.
Well, yeah.
99.9% of the men were all gay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So she would come home and she would, tell her stories, this one, that one. And I remember just hearing my dad very, very, very ignorant and nasty comments.
Right.
And there I was in my bedroom hearing this and thinking, oh my God, but I feel this way.
Right.
Right. Something's wrong. What can I do? I can't tell anybody. I definitely can't tell him.
Right.
So I kind of just buried it.
Okay.
And concentrated on the music aspect of trying to, get myself through the door and, or signed or discovered somehow.
Right.
So I was able to hide that part of me. Don't get me wrong. It would surface every now and then. And I tried to do the whole, dating girls and, bringing girls home. And I always had girls around me. Everyone thought I was, the lady's don.
Right.
But there was never a sexual element to it. They were just friends.
Right.
And it's funny because, I saw them as friends, but years later, they would tell me, some of these girls would say they thought they were going to marry me.
Well, yeah, the 6 to 20 groupies.
You're telling me this 20 years later?
But the 6 or 20 groupies that showed up in front of your hotel door there didn't come for the conversation necessarily.
No. It's funny because they would be out there with their mothers. Would you believe that?
What?
Mothers and daughters.
You know what? It's unbelievable, but it's not the first time I've heard it either.
I'm serious. It's
that'd be weird.
Mothers and their daughters line up together, or fighting to who they're going to get with.
Oh God.
And you got to remember these groupies or these girls and their mothers. They don't just do it to our band; they do it to every band that comes into town.
Right. And
you're not special. Yeah.
Well, I would imagine that the boy bands, so to speak, attract a certain type there. I mean, there's groupies for everybody, of course, but I got to think. I
don't know. I'm going to think. I thought they kind of cover the spectrum.
Okay.
Seriously, whoever's in town. It's like a checklist.
Right.
Well, I had that group, or I had that one. I really believe, and it's definitely a mentality.
Right.
Like a subculture.
Yeah.
Thing.
Well, it seems like
good for them if that's what they enjoy. Good luck.
Sure.
I just wasn't interested, and I would rather sit outside and drink tea with them, and hear the stories.
And yet, and nobody suspected anything.
I don't know. I don't know. No one ever said anything.
Right.
Ever.
Okay. And
I guess because they also knew how I was called the professional one.
Right.
I would always, show up to rehearsals on time.
Yeah.
So they kind of looked at me as like, well, Aaron doesn't do it. He's the professional one.
Right. Well,
and I kind of kept it.
And it's probably one of the reasons that you never felt Cowell's wrath.
Right.
I mean, he sensed that, no doubt, and respected it.
I did have a boyfriend too.
Wait.
My first boyfriend.
Okay. And when was this?
What happened was I'd left home and I met this guy and we were seeing each other, and then the whole audition process of Worlds Apart happened like 6 months after that.
Okay.
So when I wasn't on tour or with with the group, I went home to him.
Right.
And
now was this? No one knew about this at the time?
No, nobody knew. I mean, they knew he was just a friend to those who knew me.
Right.
A very good friend.
Wow.
But also, you got to remember as well, in the Jamaican culture or even black culture, it's not, you can't be as out as maybe if you was more on the white culture.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because in addition to just the industry and of course the time, and I would imagine it's also different.
well, not just Jamaica, but even differences between England and the United States. But yeah, with the black artists, it does seem like that would be a bigger risk to come out.
It's a lot of pressure,
and
a lot of to be quiet or not to be outed or not to give that part away publicly.
Right.
Because I grew up with images of gay people as like the village people. That's what I thought gay people were: leather and chains. That's what I thought gay people were.
Yeah.
As a kid. Because there was no one in the black side of my family or I was even exposed to who was black that was living that lifestyle that I knew of.
Right, okay.
So there was no representation. So you only saw what you saw on TV with maybe the village people or Boy George, for example.
Right,
right. I remember him being on TV.
But it's almost a caricature. I mean, that's not necessarily real life. I mean, it's a show.
You remember a kid in the 80s.
Yeah, exactly.
Looking at the TV and just seeing a guy in makeup. That's quite a big deal.
Right.
Whether you're black or white. I mean,
yeah.
I remember my mum, because she's so open-minded and she's fantastic. And I remember her making a comment. She goes, "Oh, I love him. He's cute." She did. That was the first thing out of her mouth. And then my dad flew in with a very negative comment.
Yeah.
Degrading or ugly comment. And that kind of shut it down.
Right. Well, and I guess, eventually, and times change and people change and whatnot, but between the risk to, the potential risk to, career-wise, and of course, upbringing and family issues, how did you come to the decision to come out and not just to come out, but, you've come out in a fairly loud way. I mean, you've written singles and stuff.
Like I said, it takes time. You got to remember, it's 20 years ago. Project. A lot happens. I moved to America. I saw how the culture is much more free, especially to the African American culture. I mean, you can go to the village and you see all different types of gay people.
Right.
And gay men and women, all different colours and shades and sizes. In England, when I was a kid, you never saw that.
Oh, really? Okay.
No. You only saw a very small percentage, and it was dominantly Caucasian and like never. Those were the images I was given.
Right, okay.
I didn't know that. I mean, I grew up thinking that maybe even black people couldn't be gay. Because there was no images.
Right.
And I remember, seriously, I'm talking my very, very young age, I was like 9, 10, and having feelings and thoughts. And I thought, well, why am I feeling this way?
Right.
Maybe it's the right side of me. So seriously, these are some of the struggles.
Right.
But obviously when I first met my first black gay guy, I was wide-eyed. Oh my God! There are others,
Wow. Yeah.
And then when I was about 18, 19, I started venturing out into the clubs. I didn't want to get too caught up in it because I knew that my music was more important. I didn't want to be, labeled or seen.
But you felt, so you were aware there was a risk here?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely,
okay.
Yeah. So, and that's why I didn't want to get too involved with the club scene in London at that time.
Okay.
Especially the gay club scene, because I didn't want to become a fixture in there and everyone, because I knew that I was going to have a career outside of this.
Right.
And I didn't want to blow it or have any kind of stigma attached to me.
Right.
From venturing. But I did go out, and I went to private parties. And, obviously, because I had a boyfriend at the time, so, they introduced, and his friends introduced me to a whole world that was right next door to me, and I never knew existed.
Okay.
Literally, I mean, I even going to one club. I think the first time I went to a club, I saw my father's friends in there. Serious. Oh, and they looked at me, I looked at them like, oh my God, but we ain't going to say nothing.
Right.
Now, seriously, I mean, it was literally right under my nose all the time. I just didn't know.
Right.
That's how closeted and so secretive that it was at that time.
Yeah.
Early 90s.
Right.
It's a different story now.
Yeah.
You go there now, you see all walks of life, colours, everyone's out. I mean, and it's a great time for someone who may be struggling with their identity or accepting themselves. Now you see images on TV or in the media that you can relate to.
Yeah.
You can be out with your boyfriend holding hands and no one cares.
Right.
Those were images, I fantasized about. It was never possible.
Right.
Never even seemed possible.
And now the world has changed to the point where,
oh my God, the world's changing. It's fast. Changing very fast.
Right. I mean, there's still that remnant. There's still that remnant that wants to cling to that age, to those bygone era.
You know what? Get with it, because Otherwise, you're going to be lost. I mean,
right.
Yeah, and I believe that, I was listening to you and Barbara in your interview earlier, and these people, they're just brainwashed.
Oh, yeah.
They're brainwashed, and they're trying to hold on to these ideals, like the perfect life or the perfect scenario. It doesn't exist.
Right,
It's a fantasy.
Right.
By all means, do whatever you believe in or what you want to do, fine. But don't expect others to follow you. If someone's different, they're going to go their way, and you have to accept that.
Right.
And that's what makes the world a beautiful place. Everyone is different.
I'm thinking now might be a good time to run one of those singles we were talking about, because that seems to be very much the message of I don't care.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well let's give that a run. Yeah, so it's definitely a different world today, and no need to have any secrets. Although I think there is still a legitimate point that within the community of black artists, I think it's harder. Definitely more pressure. Definitely harder to come out than if you're white. Yeah.
It's cultural. It's a history of religion. Being forced down them.
Right.
Going to church, but you go to a church, and I can swear to you, 99.9% of the men seem to me homosexual. Sorry.
Right.
But, and a lot of them are living double lives or living fake lives that they don't want to be living.
Right.
They'll go to church, they'll be part of the community, they'll do all that thing, but behind closed doors, they're out running in the parks.
Right.
Or meeting guys online.
Right.
I can't tell you the amount of men I've met that have been married.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we can meet. But I'll let you know I'm married. Like, oh my God. When are you going to live your life for you?
Yeah. Exactly.
And
they
get caught up, having the kids and the pressure. They don't want to leave, or keeping up appearances for their job, or there's a lot of pressures everywhere.
Yeah, and that I mean, when it's that to me is the worst aspect of it too. Not so much. I mean, I'm not pointing the finger at anybody or blaming anybody, but the whole, when it results in, the marriage and the kids that otherwise would not have been wanted, would not have been something that someone chose. I mean, and now you have, it just compounds
people.
it. Yeah. Not in any way that you want it to. I mean, it's not the person that's affecting them. It's the society that created that situation.
Right.
And thankfully that's going away. I mean, I think that's the one aspect that can't go away fast enough.
But I still meet people that are still very closeted, that don't even want to, they don't, even friends that don't even want to post my album cover.
Right.
On their page.
Right.
In fear that they're going to be outcast by the church.
And this is the are you referring to the new one, Party and Play?
Yeah, if you look at
now you've got some
I also at the PMP video.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty out there.
Yeah, well, you've got some pretty good imagery on the on the cover there.
Did you look at the whole picture?
Oh yeah, well, I don't have it in front of me now. I can pull it up, but
if you look at the picture, there is something for everybody.
Oh yeah.
There's a girl, there's a guy, there's people of color, there's something for everyone.
Well, now I wonder. There was something I want to ask you about, and this is maybe because, and maybe this is from an American perspective. I don't know, but I noticed that the two guys that you had on the leashes were both black.
Yes.
And I wonder if that was intentional, if there's a racial aspect to that or not, if there's a statement they made.
No.
Okay.
I mean, everything you see is my idea. It comes from my brain.
Yeah.
And my concept.
Right.
No. It's funny because I remember my brothers watching the PMP video when we did that. And that was the first thing that came to their mind. They didn't like the fact that there was someone of color being held by chains.
Right. Well, I thought it might have been an allusion to, to slavery or something.
And I could see how people could think that. But trust me, that's the last thing on my mind. I'm definitely not promoting slavery.
Well, no, I don't mean promoting, but maybe just. Well, I guess that's true. If it wouldn't be a statement because it's sort of a positive, otherwise positive.
Right. I mean, that was a very dark time in our history.
You don't say.
In the world, And I do not condone slavery or want to see anyone in chains that are being forced to work against their will.
Right. Well, of course,
No,
well, and you get back to the religion, and this is the obvious part for me, is that these people, the really hardcore right-wing Christians, will they're going to tell you the Bible has all the answers. The Bible's the moral guide, and the Bible gets the most fundamental, trivially simple moral question in human history 100% wrong. And that's slavery. And yet, if you can't even get that right, you're going to expect me to follow your lead on something as complex as human relationships.
Exactly. I mean, I think You've got to remember, the Bible's been printed 1 million times every day.
Right.
You know, words change every day. You can change a sentence here, you can change it next week.
Right.
And someone's interpretation of that sentence will be completely different than someone who's read it 12 years ago.
Right. And, but it's the unerring word of God, and it never changes.
That's so they say. But you know what? For me, I do believe that there is some truth to the Bible. I did grow up in that vicinity, but I take what I want from it.
Yeah.
Right. And
I think most people do. I think even they do. They just take different things.
Right. But, even as a human being, how can you look at another person and judge them because they're different?
Right.
Right. Just a simple fact of being a human.
Yeah.
I mean, forget the religion part and what we're taught or what we're told to live like. Just as a human.
Yeah.
Anyone that's different, you're going to persecute them or hurt them.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Right. And yet,
there's some things that people do I don't particularly like. I'm not going to go out there and hurt them.
Right.
I'm not going to stand on a platform and scream out hatred.
Right. I mean, until it starts affecting other, and if you're not hurting another person.
Right. If you're not hurting anybody else, or a child, definitely a child at least. Do you?
Well, we had and Barbara and I brought this up, but the House. Speaking of hurting a child, I mean the House or the Senate. I don't know if it was the House or the Senate, some part of the Congress. The Republicans and they shot down blocked a bill that would have protected LGBT kids from bullying in schools, and it's like how.
Right.
This is as simple as it gets, guys. Come on.
I noticed they do things to suit themselves whenever they need to be done.
Yeah.
That's basically what they're doing.
Right.
I mean, what if one of their children was gay? Maybe one of their children is. Maybe they are.
Yeah. Right.
What you gotta stop your child from getting the best education he can and staying through school because you feel that he's not living up to your expectations.
Yeah. Exactly. You
got to remember, when it's closer to home, it's a different story.
Well, that was what Julian kept saying. Is he always loved the right wingers or the Christians who were all fire and brimstone when it came to the gays until their own son came out, and then it was suddenly they changed their tune.
but and I was actually use me as an example.
Yeah.
When I finally did come out to my family.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that.
The worst.
Yeah.
Luckily, I was already kind of grown. I'd already had my career going. I'd moved to a different country. I moved here.
Yeah.
So I got to the point where, I said, I don't care.
Sure.
What do they do? I'm not there anyway.
Right.
I'm not with them anyway. And what are they going to do? Not talk to me? That's their loss.
Yeah.
And, but prior to that point, I was very fearful for my father. Very fearful.
Sure.
And when I finally did tell him, I remember, sitting in his kitchen, he was with his girlfriend, and I just came out of it. And he said, okay, so calm. I was ready for this big blow up and ready to pack my bags and get out, I was expecting, and I kind of said, is that it? It was a bit of a letdown, actually.
Yeah. It's almost, I think that's almost a universal thing with parents. When you're expecting the worst and they're calm, it's almost worse.
Right, there you go. And he literally sat there like, okay. And I don't know if that's because, in his older years he's mellowed down.
Right.
Or...
Maybe he met or got to know some of his friends better.
Yeah, maybe that. Or I put it down. I think he's very proud of me. As a man, he walks around and people say to me, I saw your son on TV or I heard your son's record. He's very proud of that.
Right.
And was he going to let all that go because I chose a different lifestyle?
Right.
I don't know, but. I can actually say, and a lot of my family are the Christian churchgoers, very deep into it.
Right.
And they actually have all accepted me.
Right.
I've never had an issue. When I finally came out and told them, no one's ever said anything bad, ever.
Now what?
Sorry, there was one family member I had.
There's always one.
I've never met.
There's always one.
Yeah, I never met. I didn't even know he existed.
Well, like a second cousin or something, or
right, somewhere.
Right.
And it was I think it was on like a WhatsApp chat family group thing.
Okay.
And everyone was talking about the P&P video.
Yeah.
And, I've seen Evan's video, blah, blah, blah. It's a bit naughty, whatever. And he had a problem with it.
Okay.
And he decided to leave the group because of it.
Okay.
The family group.
And I guess he didn't leave quietly. My guess is he left kind of loudly.
And I'm like, well, I don't even know who you are. I don't even know you existed.
And you find out you have a famous relative, and that's how you react.
Right. If I had $10 million, I'm sure he'd be the first knocking on the door. that was the only issue in my whole, life of being as an out man with my family.
Right.
That I ever saw anything like that.
Okay.
They've all been fine. They've met my lovers.
Yeah.
They've been around me. They've come to the shows. They see all the different people. They see all the images I project.
Right.
And they're absolutely fine.
All right.
And I think because they love me.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You know, they love me.
I mean, you put a human face on an abstraction, and it becomes a very different thing. And speaking of which, I guess so everyone, it might be a good time to go ahead and give Party and Play a spin, PMP, and I don't know the video, but maybe they can hear what your second, third cousin once removed there was so bent out of shape about.
We'll dedicate that to him, okay?
All right, fair enough. See, that's really interesting because I was hesitant to ask you about your father because of everything you said early in the interview. I just was kind of like, oh God, how do I get there? Because I'm guessing this is bad, but it is really it's such a common story that it almost seems like people that get the worst actual reactions are the ones who seem to have open-minded parents. That a lot of the ones that fear the worst have some of the better stories.
You can remember as well, these days now, many seeds are being planted all around us.
Yeah.
With images on TV or media. So it's just people get used to it.
Right.
They get used to now we've just got gay marriage in America.
Yeah.
5 years ago, you would never believe that was possible.
Right. Well, how long?
Now you got in the next 5 years, you're going to have probably the divorce rate is going to be sky high.
And they'll blame the gays. You watch. The right wing will say, this is why we shouldn't have done this. This is terrible. Look at what it's doing to society.
Common, it's like seeing a dog.
Right.
On the street. It's so common. It's going to be so common.
Yeah.
And now kids can now go to school and, visualize themselves being married or having boyfriends at school and not be fearful or ashamed.
Right.
I would love to have been in that position.
Yeah. And the thing is, and this is what's so weird is yet despite your upbringing, as you described it, and you're talking about feelings that you didn't understand from a very young age, but knowing this is something bad, this is something I have to repress, and yet people will say, oh, it's a choice, or it's something that you can be recruited to, or whatever.
Absolutely. I mean, maybe for some it is, but not for me. I mean, I guess as soon as I kind of reached puberty, I knew what I liked.
Right. Well, I gotta think that's probably most people.
Whether I agreed with it or not, my body was telling me something different.
Right.
And I would give myself like little deadlines. Well, I'm not going to think. My birthday's coming up. I'm not going to have these feelings anymore. I'm going to change it.
Right.
I would play them stupid mind games in my head.
Yeah.
And I can't change who I am.
Right.
And I'm at a stage now. I'm very happy who I am.
Sure.
Sure. It's taken me a long time to get to this point. And you mentioned earlier that I'm kind of really putting it out there now.
Well, I mean, I think that again with a song like "I Don't Care," I think it's very the message is very much in your face.
I'll tell you the story of "I Don't Care."
Yeah.
The production team I was working with, we nearly completed the album. They said, "Well, you don't have an anthem on the album." And if you look at like Teddy Clarkson, some of them, they have anthems.
Right.
These really big songs that are kind of big and in your face. And I'm thinking, anthem, okay, what do they want? God Save America? How am I going to write an anthem?
Right.
So he sent the track to me, and that was literally the first thing that came into my head. I don't care, came right out. And I said, well, okay, this is what's coming, and I started, writing it down.
Yeah.
And I saw the direction it was going to, and I paused, I stopped. I said, am I ready for a record like this from me?
Right.
To come back into the industry again after a long absence?
Yeah.
Am I ready to sing this type of record?
Yeah.
And, I struggled for the next, 20 minutes, and I said, you know what? Fuck it. I don't care. that's what the title of the song is. I'm going to do it.
Right.
I'm going to do it.
Now, were there any, as you were doing that, as you were going through that process, that in particular, and again, you mentioned sort of coming back in the industry, and this time, at that point, being out.
I've never been out in the industry.
Yeah.
An out artist ever.
I mean, were there influences or people, other groups you were looking to? What was, I guess what soundtrack was playing in your head at this time that when you were writing, well, I mean, I Don't Care, for example?
No, actually, nothing like I can really pinpoint, just regular, top 40 radio. That
okay.
No, I mean, I took a long break from music, because I didn't feel I had anything to say or anything to give. And then when this project came up, it was actually, I was firing. I mean, every day I was writing and it was just all coming out.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what, I have to make myself stand out. There's so many things, especially someone of color,
Yeah.
I can't help the color of my skin. They're going to put me in a box and they're going to want me to, they expect this from me.
Right.
Well, that was what I was getting a lot in the early days when I came to America.
Yeah.
Well, you're black, so you've got to sing R&B.
Well, but I also wonder, because, you're black, but you're also mixed race. I wonder if that, I mean, is there...
Right. You hit the nail on the head. I grew up with all different kinds of music. And I said to myself, well, why can't I do what I want to do?
Right. Well, did you find
and
that...
I'm going to do it. If this is my project, I'm not signed to a major label. I'm an independent artist.
Right.
I'm going to do what I want to do. Whoever doesn't like it, that's too bad.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And
right.
Luckily, people do like it. Thank God. And I think people like the truth.
Oh, yeah.
I struggled for many years trying to break it in the industry, especially in America.
Yeah.
And no one cared. No one gave me the time of day.
Right.
I came out with this project. Look what's happened.
Now, I do want to, because it's I suppose it's endemic in the industry or just natural in the industry, but I'm wondering some of the relationships that you had over the years, either with people in the industry or out of the industry, if that began to change when you got signed. And I'm guessing, I'm thinking along the lines of whether there was some phonies either early on putting you on or later on trying to leech off of that. I mean, did you notice any of the relationships change as you got some success and some fame?
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny you say that. You said that question because I'm actually experiencing some of that now.
Okay.
As well.
Anything you want to talk about, or?
Right. Yeah, sure. I mean, people, they're haters.
Uh-huh.
Or jealousy, or I don't know what it is, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
People don't like to see people do well.
Huh.
Or maybe they wish it was them.
Right.
And for myself, I've never been jealous of another artist. I've never wanted to be another artist. If any of my friends that are artists, I'm very encouraging, and any success they have, I'm glad for them.
Right.
Because I know how it's a very tough business to break.
Absolutely.
And why am I going to be? And I'm so secure with what I do. I'm not the best singer in the world. I'm not the best artist either. Mm-hmm. But I'm so secure with what I do,
right.
And I'm so concentrated on what I do. I don't have time to be jealous of somebody else. You do you. Good luck.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm experiencing some haters.
Uh-huh.
People that have surprised me.
Well, so these are other artists, or I mean, is this coming from racism, homophobia,
feedback,
or just
feedback? Things I've seen, things I've heard. I don't have time for it.
Right.
If you want to be bitter or angry or nasty, that's where you're at.
Yeah.
All I can do is continue to work hard. I work my butt off for this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I literally work 18 hours a day on this. If it's not rehearsing, or it's posting, it's something,
Yeah.
My whole life is dedicated to this.
Right.
And because I'm putting the work in, I'm getting the results.
Yeah.
And I can't help that. And I encourage every other artist to do the same thing.
Right.
Put the work in.
Yeah.
It doesn't come to you. You have to do it.
Yeah. Well, and that seems to be the biggest. I mean, I think all of us have met some guy in our lives, especially I did the high school garage band thing myself, and
Mm-hmm.
Everybody meets some musician at some point in their life where they say, "Oh, that guy's got talent. That guy'll make it." And really it comes down to it's not necessarily the talent. Talent is required, but it's the amount of work. And if you love it, if you're going to, as you say, show up early, hang out in the studio, learn the techniques, learn about different aspects of the industry, and just, and put that kind of effort in. And that's something that you love that much. That's really what's going to make the difference, more so than pure talent.
Absolutely.
I mean, talent's required, obviously, but not sufficient.
A+.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Well, I mean, it's required. You have to have talent, but it's not enough.
You've got to put the work. You've got to put your work in.
Yeah.
You've got to. And I always say, like I said earlier, a minute ago, it doesn't come to you. you go for it.
Right.
You know, and I'm the type of person, if you don't like me, or if you love me, you're still going to see me.
Right.
Because I'm going to make sure you see me. That's the work I'm going to do, so you do see me, whether you like me or not.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And I encourage everyone to do the same thing. It's easy. It's easy as 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Just put the work in, you know, and be professional, and also be humble, respectful.
Right.
Because, you know, the person you might meet today might be a big CEO next week, you know, or a major person that you can network with.
I'm sure we're both hoping.
Don't underestimate anybody.
I'm sure we're both hoping.
No, but, you know, people are on the rise.
Right,
New York City, you know, people are on the rise. People come here with a dream and a goal. They're working their way up.
Right. Oh, there was one other thing. And I did want to get to a different song that you mentioned before that we talked about before the show. But I wanted to ask you, if kind of compare and contrast working with Barbara as opposed to some of the other promoters, who I'm guessing were all men.
Actually, yeah, right, they were.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you find there's a significant difference there? And I don't know if, and again, either from the point of view of just their gender or your sexuality or just the style of interaction.
I mean, if you know, Barbara's a tough cookie still.
Yeah, no, I know that.
You know, and we love her for it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I go with Barbara, I always will get the truth.
Uh-huh.
You know, and if she doesn't like something, she'll say, I don't like it.
Right.
You know? There's no if, buts, or when. You'll get the truth of her. She's not going to, you know, swan around it. She's very, you know, upfront.
Right.
And that, I appreciate that.
Right. Well, you sort of came up in that in the industry.
Right. I mean, but you know, but you can remember, Barbara's also a New Yorker.
Oh yeah. No, I know. And I'm
that part too.
I'm from Boston too, so I don't know if you're aware of the rivalry there, but.
Okay.
So, originally from Boston, I should say.
Right. No, I mean, Barbara's what I do like about Barbara, she's very hands-on.
Uh-huh.
You know,
oh, yeah.
She's not, she's approachable, you know, we speak every day. And we don't just speak about music, we talk about other things.
Right,
you know, as well. And, you know, she'll tell me what's going on with the company and etc. And I'll tell her what's going on in my life. You know, she's very approachable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a very safe place.
Yeah.
You know,
that's true.
And it's not like this big corporate thing that you got to go through, or this you show up and this person's not here anymore because they've been fired. You know, it's not that kind of thing. You know,
right.
No, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, and she's definitely been a godsend for me. She's put me back on the map.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. She's done that for a lot of people.
She will find the artists that are lost in the wilderness. You know,
right,
trying to find their way, and you know, she opens the doors, and she gets her team, the remixers, Julian Marsh, Jose Ramirez, Paul Sharman, and Joe Gillen. I mean, they've done wonders for my tracks.
Yeah. Now, there's a track I want to ask you about, and this was the one that we talked about before the show, and this was a little bit different from your usual fare. Tell me a little bit about it before we give it a spin.
Oh, yeah, this song is called Goodbye. It's definitely a different side to me. It's a ballad. It's a kind of like a stripped down version of a ballad. It's basically more acoustic and strings. It's a beautiful song. It's a very heartfelt song. Uh-huh. I can't particularly say it's because of someone or one particular reason. There's a bunch of different things.
Right.
That's why I wrote the song. But people are now seeing me in this like all in your face kind of sexy kind of dance artist.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that, and that is me too.
Right.
But there's also other elements to me.
Right.
You know? And you know, I like to challenge myself. I mean,
sure.
You know, on my next album, I want to do a country song.
No kidding.
So I do, absolutely. You know, and if you listen to the current album, you know, I've got reggae, I've got Latin, I've got your pop, I've got your R&B. You know, I've embodied everybody.
Right.
All my influences on the album.
Well, you know what though, when you come out with that country song, I definitely I want to hear about it, and I would definitely want to hear that.
Yeah, I'm hoping Doug Strom will do it with me.
Uh-huh.
You know,
oh yeah.
You know Doug?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to work with. I'd like to try something like that with him.
Sure. All right, well let's go ahead and give this one a whirl. Wow, that was beautiful. I really like that one. It's a good run.
You like that one?
Oh yeah. So anyway,
it's a mature vibe.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, Aaron, So happy you were able to come on the program. Really appreciate it. It was great talking to you.
I had a blast. I was looking. I told Barbara I was looking forward to this all week. I was thinking, what's he going to ask me? What's he going to ask me? But it was actually very easy, very comfortable, and I really enjoyed it.
Oh, glad to hear it. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank Aaron again for coming on the program. Had a really great time talking to him. I appreciate him taking the time out to talk with me. And we're going to leave you. Well, before we check out, I'm going to go ahead and remind you that if you have any questions or comments about anything you've heard here tonight, or suggestions for future shows, guests, or topics, you can email me at niceguy9418@usa.com. Friend me on Facebook at Eddie Cabot, or leave a comment on my blog at eddiecabot.blogspot.com. Thank you. And before we check out and put you back to Rainbow Radio, we're going to play one of Aaron's songs from the old days. This is the song, the video of which actually features the orangutan link that we mentioned at the beginning of the interview. So tonight I'll leave you with Worlds Apart, 1993, Could It Be I'm Falling in Love.